While this podcast isn't rated explicit, the content may not be suitable for younger listeners. Welcome to Sex for Saints, the Christian couple's guide to great sex. I am your host, certified sex and marriage coach, Amanda Lauder. This is episode 318, The Sexual Stories That Hurt Our Relationship. Welcome to Sex for Saints, a podcast for Christian couples. My goal with this podcast is to help enlighten, educate, and inspire you to understand yourself, your spouse, and your sexuality better. I talk about sex in a way you probably haven't heard before. I'm bold, I'm direct, but I keep everything in line with my strong Christian values. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the podcast. Oh, it's Maycember. Right? Things are so busy this month, whether it's, end of year activities, graduations, weddings. There's so much going on right now. I know just in the last week alone, we've had choir concerts and dance recitals and our daughter that is playing college softball is in Alabama for nationals this week. So we're watching her games. So much going on. So thank you for carving a little bit of time out of your busy life to be here with me. I hope that it is worth your time. So when it comes to life, our perception is reality, and these perceptions also shape our relationships. Yet often we look at our perceptions as facts rather than realizing that they are our interpretation of the facts. So today I want to talk to you about our perceptions and how they're shaped and what those perceptions create in our sexual relationship. And specifically, the perceptions that we have about being the lower desire partner or the higher desire partner and our spouse in their role as well. So let's just first talk about perception. Perception is powerful, and they shape the way we interpret our spouse's actions, our sexual relationship, and even our self-worth. When we perceive our partner in a positive light, we're more likely to feel satisfied and secure in the relationship. Conversely, negative perceptions can lead to dissatisfaction and conflict. So how are our perceptions shaped? Well, our perceptions are influenced by a variety of factors, including past experiences and outcomes, culture, conditioning, internal beliefs and biases, communication patterns, our inherent personality, trauma, and even our current emotional state. So let's explore these in more detail. The environment we grew up in plays a very significant role in shaping our perceptions. If our family communicated openly about sex and intimacy, we might have a more positive and healthy view of these topics. Conversely, if sex was a taboo subject or associated with guilt and shame, we might carry those negative perceptions into our adult relationships. Now, our personal relationship history, including past relationships and sexual experiences in other relationships or in the current one, can heavily influence how we perceive things. Positive past experiences can foster a really healthy and open attitude towards intimacy, while negative experiences such as betrayal or rejection can lead to mistrust and fear. Now, we also have things like media, religious teachings, and societal expectations that can shape our views on sex, gender roles, and relationships. For instance, if society teaches that men should have a higher sexual desire than women, any deviation from this norm in our relationship might be perceived as a problem, even if it's perfectly natural. So our internal beliefs and biases, formed by our experiences and the information that we consume, can create a lens through which we view our relationship. And these beliefs might include ideas about what is quote unquote normal and what a normal sexual relationship looks like. It can include things like how often couples should have sex or what constitutes a healthy sexual desire. And I hope that as you listen to this podcast, and hopefully you're listening to past episodes as well, if you're just joining us, that you will see that I work to try and dispel a lot of these expectations and what we perceive as normal, and really open things up to a lot of things being normal. So understanding how our perceptions are shaped can be incredibly helpful in navigating our relationships. And here's how it can help and hinder us. So when it comes to helping us, it helps with increased awareness. So recognizing the sources of our perceptions can help us understand why we think and feel the way we do, allowing us to address any negative influences. If you don't have awareness around it, you can't change it. And so awareness is always the first step. That's always the first step when I am working with clients as well, because we can't change something we can't see. So we have to gain that awareness first. The second help is it builds empathy and compassion. So understanding that our partner's perceptions are also shaped by their experience and background fosters empathy and compassion. They may not be the same as ours because they've experienced different things in their life. They came from a different family background, different ideas, maybe even different cultural teachings. And so when we can see how their perceptions shape their reality, it opens up empathy and compassion. And then third is positive change. So with awareness, we can actively work to reshape negative perceptions and replace them with more positive, constructive ones. And this is a lot of what I do, not only in my women's membership, but also in my couples coaching, really helping them to reshape their awareness and their perceptions and the beliefs and systems that they have to create something better. Okay, so how can our perceptions hinder us? Well, first is very entrenched beliefs. So deeply ingrained perceptions can be difficult to change, especially if they're reinforced by longstanding beliefs or past trauma. So really understanding those beliefs and where they came from and working to change them can be hard, but not impossible with the right help. Number two, misunderstandings. So if we're not aware of how our perceptions are shaped, we might misinterpret our partner's actions and intentions, leading to conflict. And number three, when there's a resistance to change. So it can be really challenging sometimes to shift our perceptions, especially if we feel like they're a part of our identity or have been a part of our identity for a long time. And when we are resistant to changing our perception, it can really hinder our relationships. So a lot of what we do in coaching is working to understand how our perceptions have shaped our reality and our sexual relationship. And then I teach a very systematic approach to changing them, and we'll talk more about that later. But one of the things that I think gets in the way of a good sexual relationship is the stories that we tell ourselves about lower desire and higher desire partners. Now, these stories can have a very profound effect on our relationships, for better or for worse. So let's talk about what these stories are and how they can help or hinder our relationships and how we can shift our perspective for the better. So, for example, if you perceive your spouse's lower desire as a personal rejection, it can create feelings of inadequacy and resentment. So here are some common stories I hear from higher desire partners about the sexual relationship. They're not interested in me anymore. They don't find me attractive. They don't care about our intimacy or our relationship. Or even sometimes I hear things like, well, I just think maybe they're just getting it elsewhere. However, if you view your partner's lower desire as a natural variation in sexual desire that has nothing to do with your attractiveness or their love for you, you're more likely to approach the situation with compassion and understanding. And I think education is a big key to this as well, which is why I try to provide education here on the podcast, as well as refer you to really good books and other podcast episodes that can help educate you to expand your perceptions so you don't have such a narrow view. Now, if you are the lower desire partner, you might tell yourself stories about your higher desire partner, like they're never satisfied, or they don't really care about me, they only care about sex, or they don't respect my boundaries, or porn made them this way, or they're just giving in to their carnal desires, or they're too needy, or they just care about themselves. Now, if you view your partner's higher desire from a more positive place, it could sound like they're really passionate about our relationship, or their higher desire shows how much they value me and our relationship. And we not only tell ourselves stories about our partner, but we also tell ourselves stories about ourselves. So the most common one I hear from both higher desire partners and lower desire partners is that they think that something is wrong with them because they either want sex so much or they don't want sex at all. And all of these stories, whether they're from the higher desire partner or the lower desire partner, often stem from insecurities, misunderstandings, and societal expectations about what is quote unquote normal and what that should look like. They may also rise from past experiences or cultural influences that shape our views on sex and intimacy. So the stories we tell ourselves can either bring us closer together or create distance in our relationships. Positive perceptions encourage us to understand our partner's needs and feelings. We become more empathetic and supportive, fostering a deeper emotional connection. When we see our partner's intentions as good, we're more likely to communicate openly and honestly, addressing issues constructively rather than defensively. Viewing our relationship positively helps build trust and a sense of security, which are essential for healthy and fulfilling sexual relationships. Now, I understand why sometimes we view them as negative. A lot of that has to do with the cultural messaging and conditioning that we have, but that's not necessarily true, right? We talked about in the beginning. It's not facts, it's our interpretation based on the lens that we're looking through. Now, negative perceptions can lead to misunderstandings and misinterpretations of our partner's actions, causing unnecessary conflicts. When we perceive our partner's behaviors as intentionally hurtful or dismissive, it can breed resentment and emotional distance. If we constantly perceive our partner's actions as a reflection of our worth, it can erode our self-esteem and create a cycle of negative self-perception. So in order to improve our relationships, it's crucial to shift our perceptions from negative to positive. So here are a few steps that can help with this process. The first is to challenge negative thoughts. So when a negative thought about your partner or your relationship or your sexual relationship arises, challenge it. Ask yourself if there's another way to interpret the situation. What other explanation could there be? Number 2 is to focus on the positive. So make a conscious effort to focus on your partner's positive qualities and the strengths of your relationship. I just love to give people the benefit of the doubt and think, that they are constantly working for the better of the relationship as well. Now, this does not mean ignoring issues, but it does mean to just approach those issues from a place of positivity and a willingness to address them and work on it together. Number 3 is to communicate openly. So share your feelings and perceptions with your partner. Open communication can clarify misunderstandings and help you both see things from each other's perspectives. I like to say, when you do this, the story that I tell myself is this, right? Then you're taking ownership over your story and the emotions that you have without blaming your partner, but you're also bringing it up so that you can work through it together. And number 4 is to practice gratitude. Regularly expressing gratitude for your partner and your relationship is a huge boost. This practice can shift your focus from what's wrong to what's right. Hey, John Gottman talks about having an attitude of gratitude and being appreciative of your spouse is one of the foundational pieces to a good relationship. So if you are always looking at the negative, which is really normal because your brain is designed to have that negative bias, then it's going to cause problems. But if you can intentionally and purposefully shift to a more positive attitude with gratitude, then it's going to make a shift in your relationship. Our perceptions significantly shape our reality and impact the health of our sexual and emotional relationships. So by fostering positive perceptions, we enhance understanding, communication, and trust, creating a more fulfilling and loving partnership. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this episode has given you valuable insights into how our perceptions shape our reality and how we can shift them to strengthen those relationships. Coaching is a great way to help both you and your partner identify and change these harmful stories and create a stronger sexual relationship. So if you are interested in looking into coaching, go to amandalauder.com/get and click on Get Help in the menu. And it has help for couples and also women in my membership. Remember, love is a journey, not a destination. Stay committed, stay passionate, and stay connected. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. If you want to learn how to apply what I teach you on this podcast, I want to invite you to work with me in my Embrace You coaching programs. In my coaching programs, I teach you all of the skills and tools you need to have a better relationship with yourself, your spouse, and your sexuality. You also get weekly coaching to help you apply what you are learning in your own relationship. For more information, go to amandalauder.com and click Get Help in the menu to see my programs for both men and women. Like what you're hearing on this podcast? Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Don't forget to leave me a review and share it with your friends.